Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to another Tea with JD. Today's Tea with JD is brought to you by Traditional Medicines Roasted Dandelion Root. It's got a lot of roasty flavor, nutty flavor. I think it's good for mornings, but I'm having it in the afternoon because I wanted tea and didn't want to have the others that I had. I saw this one and that's the one that I wanted. So, cheers to that. So, this video is actually a little rundown of what I've published so far. Published so far. And basically a little book tour on what's available from your friendly neighborhood JD Estrada. So, first off is books 1 and 2 of the Human Cycle. Only Human, published digitally in 2013 and physically 2014, and Shadow of a Human released this year. It is part 1, part 2 of the Human Cycle. To put this short, this is an urban fantasy mashup that has several elements of different things. A lot of people have reviewed it in video and written form. You can take a gander, you can have a sample and see what you think. Basically, this book, Nathaniel Reynolds is one of these classic jaded people, because it is so easy to become jaded. He's a reporter, but he's jaded. And things get better because he gets abducted. After he gets abducted, he finally wakes up and he realizes that he was abducted by a vampire. The vampire says, "Hi, how you doing? How you feeling? Are you okay? By the way, we have to save the world." And it's seeing how much he's willing to sacrifice of his humanity to save humanity. It's an exploration of humanity through fiction. That's the general way that I describe it. It's chock full of Easter eggs of bands that I love and pop culture that is part of who I am. It's a very me book. If you read my blog or see my videos, people say that it's a very me book. So I'll take that as a compliment, I hope. But yes, that was what started all the writing madness. Moving along, book number 2, The Shadow of a Human, which takes place 2 years after the conclusion of Only Human. It is, as a novel, I do think that I evolved a lot. It is a hell of a lot darker and more intense, and there's not so much world building as the first one, although new elements are introduced. But Only Human sets the tone in various things and does a lot of world building. Since I already laid that groundwork, and Shadow of a Human is like a punch to the gut, and it's pretty intense. It's a much quicker read, although I don't think less fulfilling. Darker in tone, language, descriptions, and what happens. So yeah, book 3 is going to be started in 2017 with the hopes of having it done by 2018, although I am only human. Moving right along, let's do it this cool. I actually do write a lot of poetry, and I have published several poetry books, because I don't think, if you go to any bookstore, there's like one shelf of poetry, maybe 2. And I'd like to help that out. So, we have poetry. The first book is Between the Tides. My first poetry collection, and by the way, there was a typo in the first poem, but when I looked for the meaning of the word bury with 2 R's, it means to have burrs, which is like a shell. And it totally changed the meaning of the poem for me, and I think it actually made it better. Just in case, the cover picture was taken by Moa. This is actually near my home spot, and I actually have surfed that beach. It's called Chatarra. It's awesome. It's intense, and I have surfed it this year. I do hope to surf it soon, or as soon as possible. That collection, it's called Between the Tides: Ebbs of Poetry from a Stream of Thought. And life has high tides, low tides, but it's never static. It's never flatline. It's never just one thing. And there's always movement. And this collection tries to reflect that and capture that. And in addition to that, I try to vary it up with slices of life. Main inspiration from this was life in general, the sea, slice of cheese and stuff. Let me read the some of the titles. Eyes release the words high rise, coffee. I am a fan of coffee, not just tea. Melatonin, control, cinnamon, clouds apart, branded, the sea, one of my favorite poems from this collection. Tick, phony, coma period, Jane Genie, salt, echoless. It's like all over the place because life is all over the place. The second poetry collection that I released is Dark Strands, which is my darker poetry collection. It is a lot shorter, but it does have the most complex poem that I've released yet. It's called Miranda and the Broken Ghost. This is Miranda and the Broken Ghost. It is a narrative. As you can see, there are 8 stanzas. There are 9 lines to a stanza, and the rhyme scheme is abacadabra because I wanted to almost shoot myself. And this collection is a lot darker in tone because I do think that to live a full life, we have to explore the darkness within. Some people say, oh, this could have been darker, and I'm like, okay, I'll make it darker next time. But you see poem titles like Statues, Surface, Bound, Severance, Burst. Rats in the Dark is one of my favorites from this collection. The Attic is also one of my favorites. Lilac Grove, The Box, and stuff of the sorts. Inspired by life, but I wanted to go something darker. Thirdly, from the poetry, because it would be fifthly. The next poetry collection is called Captured Moments. Another collection. I am fond of my work, and it's not because I'm the stuff. No, it's because I write. I mean, my pseudonym is a tribute to my mom, and if I publish something with my author name, it's a tribute to her. So trust me, if I publish it, I like it. This collection has titles such as Beer Rain, As Advertised, one of my favorites, Fathomless, The Possum, Selfie Sophie, another. That one's fun to read in public. Lump, Shift, A Flight of Fancy. I do emotion haikus. I do minute poems or minute poems. You can spell it, you can pronounce it either way. Both hold meaning. Scale, Constellation, Will Whisper, Equals, and Single Ray, to name a few. This is lots of slices of life and social commentary. Selfie Sophie is about a girl who always taking selfies. Equals is about racism. And Beer is about a glorious elixir that I hope to enjoy either this evening or soon. Last of the poetry collections is my first Spanish poetry collection called Pensando en Metáforas. This is a very personal collection. All poetry is personal, but this is very personal. More than half of this I wrote while Mom was in surgery. Because when your mom is in surgery, you need to do something so you don't freak out. And she had a couple of surgeries, and on one occasion I did the writing for that book, and on another occasion I read 2 books. So yeah, not one to stay idle. Like I said, this one's really personal. I'm going to do a video just on this and the ones that I haven't done, which are Shadow of a Human, and Twenty Vente. So expect Twenty Vente to be Spanglish and this one to be in Spanish. But um, translating the titles, Neighbor, which is technology, protocol, neck, between a mango and a thought, and other certain aspects of stuff that's really a slice of home. And I will be writing a lot of home because I do miss home terribly. Um, Next off is a short story collection, a young adult short story collection, which I am extremely proud of and fond of, and I love this project. It is called The Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore. It is whimsical, light, fun, funny, and it's short stories set in the world of Draim, which is where we go to when we take a nap from reality. The misspell of Draim and reality is completely on purpose because sometimes dreams get things backwards, and so does reality. Actually, yesterday I sent a package with 5 of these copies to a reading group in Wisconsin, and I do hope that they enjoy it. I'm really fond of this project, and I like to be known as the author of Only Human and the Human Cycle, but I want to be known as a writer who pushes his range, and I do hope that people enjoy it, obviously. This work doesn't get that much attention, and I want to change that, and I'm pushing for that because if I publish it, it's because it means a lot to me, and it is a slice of my soul. This is very whimsical, and I'll read you the titles of of the of the chapter so you can have an idea of where this is going. It's Picnic at the Cocoa Lagoon. It's Tea Party in the Parched Pumpkin. It is Side Stories and Adventures. A Trip to the Kung Fu Circus, and The Dancing Heart Compass. Very random. I like random. I like smiles. And although the human cycle is really dark, this is a much lighter read because I don't want to always be writing about Therians. Ooh, I almost said werewolves. Read the books, you'll understand. Therians and vampires and angels and demons and photogeni. Lastly, for now, I have Twenty Vente, which is my first bilingual collection. This collection I'm really proud of. I write and think differently in English and Spanish because I have 2 brains. But it is poetry, essays, and short stories in English and Spanish, and in the middle there is a bilingual poem. It is a collection that spans several years, so it's throughout several phases of my writer journey. Some things you'll see that my author voice is a bit more defined, and others it's not that I'm on the fence, but I still think that you can see the difference, that I still needed a bit more work. Again, it is a collection that I'm really proud of. And there's actually 2 stories there I've submitted to competition that haven't won. There is a poem that did win, so there's that. And again, this is to show range. To give you an example, the short stories are The Puzzling Pandora Predicament, which is very fantasy. Journeyman, which is about a boxer. Celestiers, which is sci-fi fantasy. Celestiers is an explanation of what happens when it rains. And then the essays are a bit biting, and an obsession with inches. Some small stuffs should be sweated. We are living in 1984. And the pejorative equivalent of Voldemort, to say a few examples. The poems are also very varied. And again, it's something that I think shows that with some effort and a lot of love for the written word, you can show and explore a range. So this is another video of NaNoEstrada. If you're following me, and I'm doing stuff on Twitter. I'm still doing stuff on Facebook, on the blog, here on BookTube, on Instagram, everywhere, because I like to mix it up. This would be the third video. I'm pretty sure I already said that, but not sure. So let's say third NaNoEstrada video. If you're curious about any of these books, if you're in Puerto Rico, they should have copies in Libros Ace. If you're not in Puerto Rico, Amazon.com is your best bet. If you want to have the option of digital or physical. Physical, all of them should be available at BarnesandNoble.com as well. And honestly, those are your two best choices. So by all means, I do hope that you give me a chance and check me out if anything piques your interest. And for now, peace, love, and maki rolls.